Alright, how's it going? This thing is actually much harder than I thought, speaking in front of a camera. I've done about, oh my god, I feel like eternity takes. How many takes have I done? I feel like this is about the right time when I reflect my Vipassana experience, which happened about 6 months ago. I didn't look into meditation because I suffer from anxiety or depression per se, but it was more around the philosophical mind, I guess. Why am I here? Why am I doing the things I'm doing? And what is the purpose of all of this in 2019? I was in a bit of a crossroad in my life, whether I was going to follow a path of passion or was I going to follow a path of stability? Because there's no right or wrong answer. It's very difficult to suss out what is the right way. Mind always, play the game in your head. What if? So I thought that's perhaps a 10-day decluttering, a silent retreat where there's no phone communications, pen, books, external communications. Perhaps I would come back for an answer. If not, I would come back with a better understanding of myself. When you're handing over your possessions, there's also a sense of relief where I don't have to deal with these things for a period of time. The first sitting kicked off at 8 p.m. Where we were given instructions on how to do the meditation, which was called Anapana, and that's simply focusing on the sensations of your breath. And we were also taught to focus, as we are carrying out the breath, to focus our sensations around the nostril area. The very first session was particularly difficult because all I was thinking about was how bloody surreal that it was. Now I'm sitting here with 100 other meditators. Instead of going on a holiday, perhaps taking a cycling expedition, which I typically do, or go holiday somewhere with friends, sit here for 10 plus hours a day and do this. What have I got myself into again? And it was very difficult in the first session because your mind keep getting distracted. You just got here, not sure what was happening. We carried on with this for the next 3 days, where the only task we were asked to do for about 10 hours a day was just to focus on the breath going in and the breath come out, the sensations within your nose, which part of the nostril, is it left nostril or right nostril, is this hitting above the upper lip, all kinds of sensations. The very first few days it was quite tricky just to sit there in a lotus position and trying to focus on the breath. The breath was a reference point. It was like a mirror. So I'd tend to drift away in my thoughts, and then 10 to 15 minutes later, oh, I've been thinking. We'd start from 4 a.m. in the morning until about 9 p.m. in the evening, with a few breaks for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and the rest of time pretty much all spent in the meditation hall. And after about 3 days of practice, they introduce the Vipassana practice itself. So that's when we start to move away our attention from our nostril area and start to apply the awareness and the focus throughout our body. So we'd move from the top of our head, part by part, all the way down to our toe, and then from our toe back to our sort of the top of our head again. It was more intense when we started doing Vipassana, because now when I started dialing the focus and the awareness for my body, the sensitivities increased, so you're more in tune with how your body felt. And I had a few areas which carried quite a lot of tension, and they were my temple, my neck and my lower back. The temple is something I feel where whenever I am, not slept well, overthinking about things, I would get a very tight or screaming tension, headache from the temple all the way to the back. My neck was a reaction, almost like a bodily reaction I have whenever it comes to something that's stressful and intimidating. I would get defensive, and when I get defensive, I tend to crunch up my neck and do this. And last part, which is my lower back, where it has been a pain area that I've had for about 10 years. As I paid more attention to my temple and my neck and my lower back, I was able to alleviate some of the aches that I had in those areas. So you'd often feel like, oh, I'm tensed here, like my neck's really tight, and realize through meditation, by being aware of that, you can start to let go a little bit, and you feel ease after most of these sessions. So it was almost like doing a bit of a sports massage, using your mind. And that's the part where the practice got a little bit more difficult, because the pain is magnified. And when they're magnified, they're a lot more painful. On the last session on day 9 practice, I felt the tension in my lower back was getting increasingly sensitive. So when I investigated the lower back pain, I didn't look at it as pain. I started to see it as just another sensation that I was experiencing. The frame that I labeled for that pain as if it's a constant pain, just consistent, I just kept my awareness on the sensation, and I can feel it change, develop, evolve, morph into other forms. At some point, I can almost feel the pain. The sensation got so magnified that it had a pulse, as if it was a living thing. And that continued for a few minutes, where I can feel the heat of the sensation beginning to erupt. And then all of a sudden, it just disappeared completely. I didn't quite know what happened from there onwards. It's like the humming of a fridge. The noise constant, so it's in the background. When it stops, you realize, wow, the world's quiet. There were tears streaming down my cheek, and I broke into a sob as I went to the assistant teacher, and the teacher just said, this is how we attach our emotional pains to our physical pains. So when I was able to investigate and allow the physical pain to manifest and change, just to be there and accept as it is, I gave the space for it, which allowed the emotions to come out. And when the physical pain was gone, so were the emotional pains. So I hope my story has been useful for you in trying to understand what Vipassana is through my experience. And if you have any questions, do feel free to drop a message. And may all beings be happy.